Since I'm a big fan of H.P. Lovecraft, and as you saw in some of my recent videos, I also collect tarot decks, I became very curious when I learned about the Azathoth deck inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. I saw some image floating online and I wanted to take a closer look. So in this video, I'm going to show you the Azathoth deck in some detail, and I'm going to share some ideas and opinions that I have about this deck with you. The deck comes in this nice sturdy box. As you open it, you will find a little certificate here. There isn't a booklet. Most tarot decks these days come with a booklet, which are sort of the designer's notes. They give you a rationale for why certain images were included, how traditional symbology was re-elaborated. If you use for divination, they also give you suggestions about that. I'm not interested in the divination aspect, but I always like to read the author's ideas about tarot, and this is a mysterious deck, so to speak. You will have to figure out the philosophy of the designer from the deck itself. Now, as you can see, the format of the cards is a little different from that of standard tarot cards. Tarot cards tend to be narrower and taller, at least the ratio tends to be of this kind, with a narrow base and then a taller card. This one, this deck definitely has a larger base when compared to the other side, which makes the overall shape similar to that of a traditional card. They're still larger than traditional cards, as tarot cards should be, so you can still appreciate the details. There are only two colors, this sort of like yellowish, whitish yellowish, which seems shiner when I saw pictures of the deck online, and that's okay if it's not actually. It's okay if it's not a golden tarot like this of the deck here. It's a more subdued tone is appropriate to the theme of the deck. Now, we start with the Arcana. The Fool is the sort of generic, I don't know, it doesn't look like he's from Innsmouth. The iconography is very similar. It's very similar to the traditional tarot deck, actually. I would say there is more 16th century Italian iconology here than there is Lovecraft. With the Fool, I would expect that, I don't know, Randolph Carter, I would expect that one of Lovecraft's investigators, but that was not the case. It's sort of like a very classic, generically creepy and strange, but not particularly Lovecraftian. The Magus, this looks more like somebody who may be performing a ritual in the jungles, in the swamps of Louisiana to summon Cthulhu. But again, there is a lot of somewhat Renaissance and alchemy in it. The High Priestess, there is this Egyptian idea here, and definitely some Lovecraftian motifs here, and that is more Lovecraftian. Here we had the sense of what could be a voodoo. The Empress could be a voodoo priestess. That works. The Emperor, I agree, because these days Cthulhu is the elder one that we find the most fascinating. I'm not sure that is the biggest deal, the biggest potato in the hierarchy of the elder ones. Probably not, but it's fun to have him there sitting on a throne in the city of Lier. He must have just woken up. Okay, Nyarlathotep. That's good. I like it. I can already tell you, iconography-wise, this is one of my favorite cards in the deck because it seems to capture really the idea of the original theme from Lovecraft. We got the Lovers, with Cthulhu officiating until death, or until life brings you apart or something. The Chariot, so very generic, a little bit generic. I can barely see a chariot here. Reminds me of some French comics from the 1970s. I don't know if you used to read the comics by Philippe Drouillet. Very similar in sort of like visual texture. And something interesting here. You see these four figures here. We'll see this motif later. This, if I'm not mistaken, is the creepy horror gothic, almost like metal rock version of the evangelists, of the symbols for the writers of the gospel. And there is this peculiar presence of Christian symbology throughout the deck. Peculiar simply because it's completely incompatible with Lovecraftian lore. That's precisely the point. In Lovecraft, our myths, our religion, our culture is basically based on misunderstandings and fantasies after our ancestors' encounters with the Elder Ones in ancient times. Our religions are misunderstood version of real history, and so they don't point towards metaphysical ideas. And yet here, the strength is clearly an image from the biblical apocalypse. So very peculiar choice to blend Christian lore and symbology with Lovecraftian ideas. Again, I don't particularly see Lovecraft here. I see Dante, I see Cerberus, I see the Christian hell. We're talking about the evangelists again. I see Egyptian mysticism and Kabbalah. Occasionally, for Cthulhu's sake, occasionally we have a fishman here and there. Again, I think this is a nice illustration. Again, Gothic and slightly, like hard rock symbology, or I should say taste and flavor. I just don't see any Azathoth. Maybe it's not a deck about Azathoth, it's the deck that Azathoth uses, right? I don't know. I could say this one, a guy being sacrificed in a Lovecraftian ritual. Again, very Christian, in my opinion, really. Again, I was going to say, if somebody told me this was, like Dante's Inferno's deck, especially here, how I mean, with the devil, you could have had some interesting humans or, semi-humans from the Innsmouth horror, from the Dunwich horror. Innsmouth is, we do have some Innsmouth later, luckily enough. We do have some fishy people. The Dunwich horror, that would have worked as the devil, but that is a much more traditional idea. The tower should have been simply the city in Relier. The star, attractive, but not Lovecraftian. This could work. This could be the countryside. One of those weird countryside in some forest in New England. This could be from the Dunwich horror. This could be from the Color Out of Space. Then we have The Last Judgment, which is a little generic. I mean, this should be Cthulhu emerging from the ocean. And you're complaining, probably you're thinking in your head, why does he draw one? I don't know how to draw, just I got a lot of idea. I'm an idea kind of guy. More Christian symbology in the world. And so this is for the major arcana. This is for the major arcana, not particularly Lovecraftian. I mean, attractive, but I not what I expected from an Azathoth deck. Here we have some semi-humans that could fit more into Lovecraft's symbology. I do appreciate, now we're looking at the wands, that the new illustration, the modern illustration, does also present the suit, or a recognizable symbol for the suit, and the numbers. So a 7 of wands have 7 wands. Doesn't have to be like that. You could have a Mad Max deck in which instead of 7 wands, you have 7 shotguns. That would work, but I would see when the 7 in the 7 of wands or shotguns have a 1d8, and this deck does that, which I appreciate. Other decks go all the way just for creativity, and they neglect that aspect. So in general, we have, again, this finally looks more pagan than Christian, and that's okay. That to me is something you can appreciate when you're trying to make a deck about Lovecraft. But was that the point? My impression is almost like the author's intention. Finally, we get to Innsmouth. Was to make a deck that was pretty faithful to Renaissance and traditional esoteric tarot iconography with a little bit of a Lovecraftian flair to it, but not too massive, not too massive. Again, in fact, of the minor arcana, my favorite ones are definitely the cups, because we had the fish people of Innsmouth. The swords, this could have been daggers. These could have been daggers of cultists. I don't know that we need this sort of pre-Raphaelite imagery here. Could have been daggers of cultists sacrificing people and animals and performing unspeakable rituals in basements, ancient temples, swamps. But no, we got angels. We got angels. What's going on here? And then for the pentacles, which again could be cultists, could be deranged people, hybrids between monsters and humans, we have these, I don't know what they are, golems? I don't know exactly what they are. These bold people. These bold people. Well, some have hair. When it gets to the 9 bought a wig. The Ten of Pentacles is nice. I mean, it's a nice iconography. But if somebody told me this is a Christian gospel meets Midsummer Night's Dream on LSD, I would say, oh yeah, of course, that's exactly what I thought when I saw the deck. So, the Azathoth deck, maybe not the deck for the Lovecraftian fanatic, such as myself, or for somebody who was looking for a strong Lovecraftian theme, because it's there and it's not there. And I would say it's mainly not there. It's there in some of the cards, in some of the iconography, sometimes in a corner, and just not as intensely Lovecraftian as I expected. This being said, when I was past that disappointment that it wasn't what I expected, what we have here is a nice deck. It is well produced, the cards are sturdy, they are pleasant to manipulate, the box is nice, the two colors, just black and yellow, this idea of light and dark, I like very much. It's pleasant to look at, it has a gothic feel to it, not what I expected, but per se a fairly pleasant deck, one that also you can use for a variety of things. And you know, the way I use decks is to appreciate them as works of art, or to use them in role-playing games and storytelling games. This deck would work well for all these purposes, just would not work, I believe, say in a game about the Call of Cthulhu or about Lovecraft in general, because the theme is not quite there. But if we were playing some high fantasy, dark fantasy game, then this could be an interesting prop for that game. The Azathoth deck by Nemos Locker.